world that nature has to offer in one lifetime. What a dream! To travel freely into the home of the wild ones, to live with them, to become so accepted by them that they hardly notice that you're there. That is not only my dream, that's my goal. I'm wildlife photographer Bill Porter, and I'll take you there.
I walked on the mountain and down by the sea. There I saw men who shared this world with me. We shared this world with wild ones, that's the way it's meant to be. We're also meant to save them, that's the power in you and me. I wandered down the valley, crossed to the other shore. There's wildlife all around us, birds and bees and so much more. We're always going to take some, that's the way it's meant to be. We're also meant to save them, that's the power in you and me. Well, I woke up to the sunrise, stood there at sunset too. Still I saw the wild ones, wish you had been there too. For with one touch of nature, the whole world had become kin. This message all around us, that's the way it's always been.
Wildlife Unlimited Foundation, thanking you for doing your part to keep our wildlife unlimited. I'm wildlife photographer Bill Porter, and I'll take you there. Sometimes they're cute. Sometimes they're beautiful. Other times they're simply amazing. But it's always exciting in the wonderful world of the wild ones.
How many of us have been here? How many more will come? The background music may not last much longer. The enchanting, indeed sometimes haunting call of the loon, the call of the north. This sound has been silenced in far too many areas of the country already. They are loved by so many and yet have disappeared from far too many lakes for a variety of reasons.
Photographer Bill Porter with son John and family invite you all to join them at a spot in the country where we hope to see some wildlife still run free. We'll go hunting, climbing, fishing, diving, see things that help to set the spirit free. We might take some of the surplus that the good Lord has provided, always mindful of the sportsman's creed. So the wildlife we all love remains unlimited. Oh, Bill and Rose and little John, who's grown to be a man, will show you through a camera's eye wonders of the land. You might camp with them by mountain streams or run barefoot in the sand. But wherever you go, recall the creed, keep the wildlife unlimited.
The Wildlife Unlimited Foundation presents the Common Loon. Join wildlife photographer Bill Porter on land, underwater, and in the air with field assistant John Porter and Dr. Ray Anderson, wildlife ecologist from the University of Stevens Point. Seldom seen by man, loons gather for migration. But where do they go? What do they feed on in the winter? Loons gather in large numbers on some larger lakes in the fall of the year. These lakes are thought to be traditional staging areas for their migration to wintering quarters. We know many of their wintering areas, but we don't know their migration routes or which areas they came from.
In the winter of 1983, 2,500 loons were found dead on the Gulf Coast in Florida.
And even though we know that mercury poison caused their death, we don't know where the loons got the mercury that they died from.
Normally, loons have a long life, and it is assumed that loons mate for life, but this is not known for certain because so few have been marked for identification. We do know that both parents give affectionate care to their young. These are two big reasons why people admire them so. Dr. Ray Anderson of the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, together with his graduate student Jerry Ballant, are attempting to gain new insight into the world of the common loon. First, they must make sure they are observing the same loon or loons. Markings, tags, or radio transmitters must be placed on the loons for positive identification. Jerry set out to devise a plan to catch a loon. The best way to catch any wild animal is to know as much about its habitat and behavior as possible. We know all loons need a lake with several essential components. First, the size is important, for the loons need a long running start to get airborne. Of course, food is very important, and a good supply of small fish is needed. The shoreline must have overhanging branches and trees to hide the young from birds of prey and other dangers. A stable water level is important because the loon nests so close to the water line. This is due mainly to the loon's inability to walk on land. Its legs are set well back on its body, enabling it to dive to great depths and swim fast both underwater as well as on top, but allowing it to only waddle on land. A drastic drop in water level will leave their nest too far from the water, while a drastic rise will flood them out. The loon's main defense: diving to escape. The clearer the water, the better the loon can fish, and this is a very clear lake for a northern lake. Jerry spent a lot of time observing their behavior patterns. A lot is known about the loon's displays, which are very interesting to watch, but this loon is not just showing off. He is telling you that you are too close for his comfort. The aggressive displays are broken down and labeled as surface rush. The pelican dance. Bill, dipping, or peering, which may also be used as part of feeding. Facing away. If you see any of these, you are too close to the loon, and he's telling you to leave. Circling and splash dives, while being common signs of aggression, are not as severe as the others. Comfort movements include the wing flap. Just a leisurely swim. Just drifting is common. As stated before, peering can be part of the feeding behavior. These are the most common behaviors. Now see how many you can recognize. Sometimes behaviors may be combined or confused. Notice here the splash walk and the wing flap combined. One being an aggressive display, the other a comfort display. The loon is confused. Just to catch a loon, it is not necessary to know the incubation postures, like the head-up posture, or the most rarely seen, the churning of the egg posture. But these are very important in the overall study of the loon. This oversized loon replica is at Mercer, Wisconsin, loon capital of the world. Working near Mercer, the idea was to use a loon decoy together with a recording of a loon call. By placing a decoy over the trap, which was placed in a shallow water situation. The yodel, which is an aggressive call that indicates a strange loon has invaded the nesting area, is broadcast from a speaker on the shore. Early one morning, they were finally ready. The observer was to be close enough to see the loon approaching underwater. A very long wait, but intense, as the observer must be ready at all times because the loon will attack without warning. Slowly moving the decoy with an extra light line adds realism to it. Then, from the nesting area in the bay across the lake, the resident loon appeared. All of a sudden, the loon was there, using the bill-dipping display on its way in. Then the splash dive on the way out. All of this was out of reach of the trap. The second time, the loon attacked from underwater, driving its beak deep into the decoy. The trap, which was manually sprung, was too slow to catch this loon. But watch close as the foot waggle display, normally a comfort display, is used here as the loon is faced with two conflicting courses of action. First, to attack the intruding loon. The other to flee the trap that almost caught him. Behavior of this type is commonly called displacement behavior. Early the next morning, the trap was ready again. This time, it got caught on some sticks on the lake bottom. The loon escaped again, this time giving many real aggressive displays. Frustration is a part of most successes, and this was to be no exception. Researchers must have a strong desire to succeed, and after several remakes, the trap worked and the first loon was radio tagged and a red band placed on its leg and a yellow tag on its wing. More catches would follow. Loons nest near the shore or preferably on a small island. They usually produce 2 eggs each year. If a lake has all the other components except nesting sites, or if the lake is subject to large fluctuations in water level, a floating nest platform may be of some value. Both parents take turns to incubate the eggs. Changing is done very carefully by the parents, presumably in case a predator would be watching from the shoreline. Usually, the eggs are turned each time a different parent takes over the incubation duties. Predators can be as seemingly innocent as these young raccoons, known to be opportunistic feeders, feeding on whatever is available. Raccoons prefer to feed along the shorelines, right where the loon usually nests. Raccoons and skunks, who both love to eat eggs when they are available, are a big reason the loons need this type of small island to nest on. Many loon lakes are famous for their early morning fog, and this is a typical sun-up setting. The young loons can swim as soon as they are hatched and are covered with downy feathers. They are kept very close to at least one parent, and often both. They are guarded well until late summer when they learn how to fly. Downy young can often rest on the back of a parent. Both parents take care of the young and will hide them under overhanging branches along the shoreline when threatened. Then the parent will go out to confront the danger. Young are vulnerable to raptors, birds of prey, Also, some large fish and turtles eat some of the unsuspecting young. The loon is not threatened or endangered in Wisconsin, although they are no longer nesting on many lakes they nested on in the past. This could be in part due to their sensitivity to human disturbance. Some individual loons, as well as other species, are more tolerant than others. The young loons follow their parents to fish and learn from them. Before the young can fly, another catching technique is used, done at night and using nets. Both young and adults are given tags for identification later. Another new and interesting method of keeping track of the birds is very helpful because the loons are so hard to catch and tag. They are voice marked by voice printing. A tape recording of their voice is recorded, then printed out as a sonograph, then matched against a new recording. It has been learned that at least one of the 4 calls of the loon is unique to each individual loon. First, the hoot, used to keep in contact with the family group. Second is the yodel. Then the tremolo, the only call used in flight, is shown here on water where it is also used. The fourth and most haunting sound is the wail. By first recording these calls, then recording another to compare to the first, it can be determined if this is or is not the same loon. Although voice patterns have been taken and then matched again later with unmarked birds in the past, there is still some chances that it is not the same bird. Therefore, the voice pattern done this year on marked birds will be of significant importance. The sonograph printout is as unique as fingerprints.
As I left this wild and wondrous place, I couldn't help recall that the loon, with its large size, long body, serpent-like neck, pointed bill, and loud yodel-like call, that dives and swims for long distances, but must hook along the top of the water for a long distance before taking off in flight, has been doing the same for many, many years. I surely hope we can gain the knowledge we need to help this species, for surely the world will lose much if it loses the call of the loon, the call of the North.
If you need help in the management area with regards to loons, refer to the Common Loon Management Guide by John Olson, Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Mercer, Wisconsin. But for more general information, refer to the books in your library. 2 slideshows are available from the Wisconsin Project Loon Watch, Ashland, Wisconsin.
I'm photographer Bill Porter, asking you to help me keep the wildlife unlimited. Thanking you for helping us keep the wildlife unlimited.
On land and underwater, sportsman and photographer Bill Porter with son John and family invite you all to join them at a spot in the country where we hope to see some wildlife still run free. We'll go hunting, climbing, fishing, diving, see things that help to set the spirit free. We might take some of the surplus that the good Lord has provided, always mindful of the sportsman's creed. So the wildlife we all love remains unlimited. Oh, Bill and Rose and little John, who's grown to be a man, will show you through a camera's eye wonders of the land. You might camp with them by mountain streams or run barefoot in the sand. But wherever you go, recall the creed, keep the wildlife unlimited. For a sportsman's more than just a hunter or a fisherman. There's things to seed all the mind of many a mortal man. From the way the wild protect their young to canyons carved in sand. Oh, don't take them all as you recall. We're for wildlife unlimited. Yes, Bill and Rose and little John, who's grown to be a man, will show you through a camera's eye wonders of the land. You might camp with them by mountain streams or run barefoot in the sand. But wherever you go, recall the creed, keep the wildlife unlimited. Wherever you go, recall that creed, keep the wildlife unlimited.